And that's also what we live as meteocontrol. So this is something that we see as very important because we are at the center of data. And if we fail, our customers fail and the industry fails.
In part one of this conversation, we looked at information and data flows as part of the energy system, the pitfalls and potential for artificial intelligence, and how digitization facilitates the smart energy ecosystem between economic sectors. If you're just joining us, check out part one of the conversation with Stijn Stevens, who's the CTO and co-managing director for meteocontrol based here in Berlin. Now, I mentioned, Stijn, about cybersecurity and its importance within the energy sector. What can you tell us about what's being done within energy and renewable energy to maintain cybersecurity?
Well, there are different levels of cybersecurity. I would say there's, of course, the frameworks that the European Union has set forward, so the NIS and the NIS2, and also the cybersecurity, also the CRA, Resilience Act, the Cyber Resilience Act, and those work on different levels. So the NIS works on the sector level, so how everything is organized within a sector, what is critical, what is not. And then you have the CRA, and that is on a product level, and those work hand in hand. And the one needs the other, and vice versa, so to speak. So if you have a critical infrastructure, you want to have products that do have a specific cybersecurity ingrained in them. And that is on one part. On the other part, we as a company, we also have standards to follow, which are also necessary to make sure that we act on a daily basis to protect the cybersecurity of our company, but also of our customers via our products. And that's something that we do via a certification method. So it's the ISO 27001 that would be on organizational information structure. So we have an information security management system in place that leans toward the ISO standard. And on the other part, we also look for how we design products. And also there's a standard, that's the IC 62443. And we are certified for the 4-1, and there's also a 4-2. And with that, you have the whole process of developing a product being documented, and the life cycle, and also design for security. So that is truly embodied. And that's also what we live as meteocontrol. So this is something that we see as very important because we are at the center of data. And if we fail, our customers fail and the industry fails. So there's little room to no room for us to fail. But it also needs to be said that we take our responsibility, we take it very seriously, but our products are also placed in an environment. If that environment is not fail-safe, not secure, there's little you can do. We can be as secure as possible, but if a router is open and available in the internet, everybody can tap in and do what he or she wants. And there's nothing that we can do about it. So I think on the one hand, we have all the legislation and stuff like that is really, really, really important, and we're in a good way to that. And we are compliant with all the regulations, and I think everybody should be compliant, even if you're not critical infrastructure. That is a must. We are a professional industry, so that is a requirement. But on the other hand, also everybody within the industry needs to be knowledgeable about cybersecurity and act upon it so that there's no gaps left and right.
Well, we're here in Germany, in Berlin, and Germany has a real sensitivity for data security amongst the general public and also policy makers. Do you feel enough is being done in terms of data security more widely around energy? Not specifically here in Germany, where I imagine the regulations are quite tough, but are we aware of what needs to be done, and is enough action being taken?
I think within the European Union, I think there's a solid foundation to make sure that we do as much as possible. Of course, there can be improvements left and right. And we also see that some countries in their grid codes prescribe certain certifications. And I think that's a really good thing. Also, it pressures us to move forward along those lines. So also new hardware needs to be built to have encryption modules on it and stuff like that. So I think that is a very good incentive. Within the European Union, I think so far we're on a good track. But cybersecurity will always be something that is running behind the attackers, right? Because if something new has been invented, it's difficult to predict what is going to happen. It needs to happen or become visible before we can act upon it. But we're doing our best, and we also let external companies check our security. We are very rigid on that. So if everybody would do that, I think that would be a great step towards a more resilient energy grid within the European Union.
It's always a balancing act, I imagine, with putting in regulations, putting in standards, certifications, but then also not slowing down the industry because we need to deploy as much renewable energy as we can. How difficult is it to walk that line?
It's a balancing act. If we see what our expenses towards cybersecurity now is towards in comparison to a couple of years ago, it's an order of magnitude different. We also have had to install a whole department that is looking into the cybersecurity and making sure that all of our products are compliant with all the legislations and the rules and all the cybersecurity measures taking place. We also have had to we installed a SOC, so an operating center, a security operating center, 24/7 to make sure that everything that is meteocontrol is concerned is being governed and watched 24/7. That everything costs money, and it is, however, we are of the opinion that it is worth the money. Because if we don't do that, if all the products and the infrastructure does not make sure that we are very resilient towards attacks, bad things can happen. And we already saw that, I think it was last year, there was an attack on wind farms, successful. We don't want that on a large scale within Europe.
And do you think that's meteocontrol's approach, the seriousness that you're taking cybersecurity, is that universal across the industry, or do you see, other companies that are placing less importance on it?
Yeah, it revolves back to meteocontrol. We went to the BSI and we are constantly in discussion with BSI,
which is the German regulator.
For security of information, and so we are recognized as critical infrastructure. With that, there comes a huge responsibility, and also a huge framework and processes that we have to manifest. And I think if you're a player in the renewable energy or in energy space whatsoever, I think then you should be compliant with that. So reverting back to your question, I think the rules for a player within the energy sector should be very high, because we are all participating in this energy grid. It's not only, of course, it's not only electricity grid, but let's assume electricity grid. If big chunks of that grid fails, then the whole system fails, and the whole country, the whole of mainland Europe fails, and that has detrimental effects. And that's something that cannot and should not happen. So if I would say that if you are a player or you're looking for a partner to do monitoring, do power plant control and stuff like that, it's nothing to take for granted. It should be someone that is that supports the critical infrastructure or is recognized as a critical infrastructure, so that you're sure that everything is handled according to the standards that have been set forward.
Well, no doubt cybersecurity and renewable energy and solar and battery energy storage is going to be a big theme going forward. Stijn Stevens, the CTO and co-managing director of meteocontrol, thank you very much for your time. Please check out the first part of this conversation if you haven't already done so. My name's Jonathan Gifford for Climate Copy, and be sure to follow meteocontrol on LinkedIn for updates. Subscribe to their newsletter and also subscribe to their YouTube page right here. And thank you for watching.